Something was with me inside the room, silent and waiting, as if he knew the exact moment I would arrive. It is hard to describe it. It was a man, or at least man-shaped, with a head not so dissimilar to a sunflower. Where one would expect seeds, there was instead an eye carved from an endless pit with the vibrancy of 1,000,000 infinitesimal stars. Its presence stirred within me an unfamiliar feeling, like every question I had ever thought just landed on the tip of my tongue. And yet, only one managed to tear itself free from my lips. Who are you? Today in this video, I want to discuss a terrifying level in the Backrooms that's only known as the Unnumbered Level in Extremis. This was one of the best things that I've read on the Wikidot in years. It's genuinely horrifying, and it low-key ruined my day because of how disturbing it really is. And luckily for you all, today I'm going to be talking about it right here in this video. So sit back, dim the lights, and get ready to hear about a Backrooms level that genuinely will terrify you. The Unnumbered Level, only known as In Extremis, is written in a very short few paragraphs. The person that wrote the page was the wanderer that experienced the level, so it's from their point of view. And in order to fully understand the horrors and the events that happen in this level, I'm gonna read the encounter to you in like a cinematic reading for you, and then after that, I'll break it down and explain what the level is and what happened during the story. Don't worry, it's not a long read or anything, just a couple paragraphs, but lock in, it's pretty unsettling, pretty unnerving. It might disturb you. You might not want to eat while listening to this. But without further ado, this is the Backrooms level as it's written online. Over the years, you've watched me wander through the weirdest, darkest, most disturbing corners of the Backrooms. You've seen me talk about the deadliest levels, the deadliest creatures, the weirdest places, the emptiest places, and every single thing in between. But one thing that I haven't really touched on is how bad you're going to smell after being stuck in the Backrooms forever. Spoiler alert, it is not a good smell. And how you do smell is a big factor in how you're perceived by other people, which is why I love working with today's sponsor, Scentbird. One scent that's really resonated with me recently is the Gentleman Society by Givenchy, because truly, when I tell you this thing makes me smell like I'm the best thing since sliced bread, I mean it. It's got notes of sage and cardamom, and it smells very earthy and natural. I really like it. And since the weather's been getting colder and it's almost Christmas time and winter time, I've been using Polias Bourbon by Memo because I like to smell like a lumberjack around Christmas time, okay? All you have to do with these Scentbird vials to get the maximum things out of them is to apply them at your pressure points like your wrists, behind your ears, your neck, and they'll last you all day. Scentbird itself is a fragrance subscription service that helps you discover new fragrances and try out different ones without having to buy a whole expensive bottle of it. They have hundreds of different scents from top name brands, so you can customize your scents every single month. Each vial has a generous 30-day supply, and this will last you a good amount of time. And it's also enough to see if you actually like it, and you might want to buy a full bottle of it. So if you want to give Scentbird a try and locate your own signature scent, you can get 55% off your first month's order using code SPOOKY55, or you can scan the QR code that you see on screen right in front of you. If you do this, you'll get your first scent from Scentbird for only $8.97, and then the next month's fragrance will only be $17.95. Again, just by scanning the QR code or going to the top link in the description and using code SPOOKY55, you'll get 55% off your first month's order at Scentbird, and you can find out what really makes you smell good. Thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to it, shall we? I opened my eyes to ethereal plains. The clouds formed an Empyrean terrace that stretched as far as I could see. The point where sky and ground diverged was marked only by withered trees that bestrewed the achromatic landscape. I could not remember how I got there. My whole life before that moment was like a fever dream that I had just woken up from. Through the fog of countless fleeting memories, a searing pang in my forehead refocused me. Before me was a monumental structure, drifting thin clouds obscured its finer details as I made my approach. The air lacked texture, offering one of the most vapid, tactile experiences I had ever known. There was no temperature, not in the normal way where one would perceive it. As I neared the structure, its features began to emerge. Impossibly long sails stretched from the windmill's summit, and a steep stairway led to a door-shaped void. From the base of the stairs, I felt like I was on the precipice of a perfect equilibrium, a centeredness that no man was ever meant to know. The clouds churned in convoluted spirals, spun to life by the sail's methodical turning. Every rotation fell in tempo with my labored breath, whether by gravity or their rhythm or by some predestined pull. I found myself irresistibly drawn to the structure, beckoned by it. Each step on the weathered wooden stairs bore the weight of the lifetime of forgotten memories that led me there. I gripped the railway as I pulled myself forward, and it too lacked the structure one would expect for its appearance. I winced, overwhelmed by another pain in my head, a wet, burning sensation that shook me to my core. When I opened my eyes, I was at the apex of the stairway. The doorway stood before me, like a waiting jaw. I blinked again, and I was inside the windmill. The familiar sound of an old door closing echoed somewhere in the distance behind me. Something was with me in the room, silent and waiting as if it knew the exact moment that I would arrive. It is hard to describe it. It was a man, or at least man-shaped, with a head not so dissimilar to a sunflower. Where one would expect seeds, there was instead an eye, carved from an endless pit, with the vibrancy of a million infinitesimal stars. Its presence stirred within me an unfamiliar feeling, like every question I had ever thought just landed on the tip of my tongue, and yet only one managed to tear itself free from my lips. Who are you? I do not have a name, but you may know me as Redacted. Its voice was soft and loud and ever-knowing, the discordant harmony of 1,000 whimpering dogs, and yet words formed nonetheless. Its name was incomprehensible, an unwelcome impurity of countless broken promises, a name I've always known since the moment I forgot it. Where am? It placed a finger where its mouth should be, the movement causing the words in my throat to swell, lodging themselves between breaths. It stood like that for a moment before gesturing broadly. There are only so many truths left here. You should choose your words more carefully. The silence between us was punctuated by the rhythmic tick of an unseen clock. Its melody matched the pace of my faltering heartbeat. I stared at the visage in front of me, and only after what felt like forever did I realize I was holding my breath. Exhaling, I finally found the words I was looking for. Well, why am I here? The stars realigned as the being focused on me. I could feel it tearing through my thoughts, my past, my future. It was a nauseating pressure, the weight of infinity boring into my soul. You have fallen, like all men before you, and all that will remain when you are gone, you. The chime of the unseen clock interrupted it, breaking its focus for only a moment. Each reverberation felt like a jagged puncture in my skull. There is not much time left, yet fate has not yet made up her mind. However fleeting, there is still hope for you. I knew its words in the way a hammer knows a nail. It had no meaning, and yet it meant everything. The pain returned to the forefront of my mind, throbbing in harmony with the tick of the clock, a countdown to something I could not see. It was faster now, as was my pulse, my mind being pulled from my body like a broken tooth. My words came in hot, ragged breaths as a warmth flowed across my face. What do you mean? I can't remember anything. I was doing something, and then I was here. What does fate have to do with anything? I don't understand. What's going on? There was a knock at the door behind the being. Each strike reverberated like a gunshot that shook the world around us. The pain faded as my vision started to blur. I could barely make out the faint outline of the being, its hand outstretched, pointing towards the door. You are in luck. It looks like she is chosen in your favor. I will see you at the end. The door behind it crumbled to dust, and my vision was overwhelmed by an impossibly bright light. And then I was here. The report said I was on a routine exploration, and we were ambushed by a pack of hounds. McKinley was the one that saved me. A hound had my head clamped in its mouth as it dragged me down the hallway. They said she chased it for a few dozen meters before eventually shooting it 6 times. I was told it was all a near-death hallucination, but I don't believe them. I know I went somewhere I wasn't meant to be. It was too real to have just been a hallucination. The shrink can call it whatever he wants, but I know what I saw. All the doctors say I was lucky, that if all I got out of this was a weird dream, I should be happy. But they they can't explain away everything, I still have questions that there are no answers for. When they found me, I had a small sunflower clenched in my hand. I still have it. Still just the same as the day I woke up all those months ago. Though it hasn't wilted, it has lost a petal or two since then. I keep it on my nightstand as a reminder, and sometimes, late at night when all is silent, I can hear the faint tick of that unseen clock. And I don't know where I went that day, but somewhere deep down, I know that I'll have to go back eventually. So that was the story of the unnumbered level in extremis. That was the entire page. I just read it for you. Hopefully you enjoyed that. So what you heard was directly taken from that page. And now I want to talk about what does it mean? Where did this happen? And I want to talk about some theories as to what this sunflower creature is and where this level's located. So let's break it down. When the wanderer that's experiencing this level, quote unquote, wakes up, it appears like it's a dream and that this horrifying grayscale world that they just adventured through where that creature was having dominion over it was just a figment of their own imagination. And that's what everybody else was telling them. So people around this person seem to believe that it was a hallucination of some sort, maybe just a bad dream. But as we know it, things beyond our comprehension happen all the time inside of the backrooms. In fact, most of the things that happen in the backrooms are beyond our comprehension. So what is this level? What is the windmill? What is this sunflower man? From the reports, we can gather that the level looks to be some sort of grassy field expanse with an achromatic coloration, which just means it's black and white, there's no color. There are tall grasses and craggled trees dotting the field, and above them all are these really fake-looking clouds that kind of swirl around. The ambience is apparently non-existent, and that's because there's no temperature, there's no wind, everything just feels normal. A little too normal. But then the wanderer starts to walk through the fields, and eventually they notice a mill or a windmill of some sort on the horizon. They begin to feel drawn to this windmill, like a spiritual calling is telling them to walk up the stairs in the front of it, and once they see the staircase, they can't look away. That's all they can think about is climbing them. When they do climb them, the sky begins to spin, the breathing of this person begins to slow down, and they eventually get entranced by the windmill itself and almost addicted to it. After they blink while climbing though, when they open their eyes, they are inside of the windmill right in front of this shadowy humanoid figure with the head of a sunflower and with the eye in the middle of that head. As far as I know, this entity is not located anywhere else in the backrooms except this unnumbered level. This is the only time I've heard of it. It's not listed anywhere else. This is it. But the wanderer began to talk to this creature and tried to ask it questions, but we can tell one thing right off the bat. The entity is very powerful. It has the ability to make that person feel strange and euphoric, but also it won't let them talk. It keeps their mouth closed and they start choking on their own words. Then the creature drops some really like esoteric stuff, talking about how this is not the end and that kind of stuff, and it's all very demigod-like and stuff. And before they know it, that wanderer begins to hear a weird clock ticking sound off in the distance. The creature looks around like he knows what's about to happen, and then the wanderer eventually gets sent to wake up in real life in the backrooms, beaten and injured, apparently having hallucinated the entire thing. The wanderer knows deep down that what they just experienced in the windmill was real, the entity was real, the sunflowers were real, the fields were real, but they don't know how to get there, and they don't know how they even got there to begin with. Theories on what this level actually is range widely. It could have been some entity-induced hallucination, where the wanderer was on a level, maybe they encountered a creature with the ability to alter somebody's mental state, and they put them in the stream. We've seen something like this before with things like Pinhead, but maybe this creature did this to subdue the wanderer to eat them? I don't know. Another theory is that this level is some sort of pocket dimension, only accessible in ways that we don't understand, and somehow this person got there into this domain and they weren't supposed to be there. Whatever the case is, we cannot be 100% sure as to the origins of this gray field and this windmill and this entity. We have no real information on it since only one person's even claimed to be there, or claimed to survive at least. It doesn't mean it's not real, but it does mean that there's some sort of new type of level that's only accessible if something wants you to be there, which is a terrifying thought to really ponder on. For some reason, that creature wanted this person to see them. They wanted to interact with them, and we don't know why. It could have killed the wanderer. It could have made them not exist anymore, but it didn't, and it chose to get them sent back, and even though it was this fever dream experience, the person lived through it, although they were bloodied up and had a very strange encounter. They'll have to go the rest of their lives knowing that their friends did not believe what they saw. They only think their friend got attacked by a hound pack, and that's what caused them to hallucinate. But maybe this person is not lying. Maybe they did encounter this. It's a very strange experience, to say the least. Leave your theories on what you think of this level down below in the comments. Do you think it's real? Do you think it's fake? Do you think it's a hallucination? And let me know everything else you think. There are no listed ways to enter the level, obviously, and as such, there are no listed ways to exit the level. And that's why it is an unnumbered level. We don't know anything about it other than what I read to you. And that right there is pretty terrifying, and the fact that it could happen to anybody kind of ruins my day. It kind of makes me scared. Thank you for watching the video all the way until the end. Remember to check out today's sponsor, Scentbird. You can get 55% off your first month's order just by scanning the QR code or using Spooky55 at checkout. Just click the top link in the description below to check it out. Hopefully you did enjoy this little reading and exposition and explanation of this level. I don't really do things like this too often, but if you want more, I'll be down to. It's a very fun read. This is one of the best levels that I've read in a while, so I really do hope you enjoyed me talking about it. If you want me to talk about more strange, enigmatic places like this and more readings and stuff like that, leave a like as well. Comment below what else I should talk about. While you're down there, you can subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1.5 million subscribers. If you want to be the 1.5 millionth, you'd be cool, and I appreciate that. Thank you for everything you do. With all that said, I will see you in the next video on any of my channels.